Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Creative Differences podcast. I'm Dallas, and I'm glad Kong's affinity for white girls hasn't gotten him killed yet in this new reboot. Yeah, but you can't cuss that early.
I'm so sorry. That was I loved it. Hi, I'm Gabby, and oh goodness gracious, I'm speechless.
I'm Colin, and I don't understand how when a big lizard shows up and starts wrecking shop, they think, you know what we need? A big monkey. I don't get it. I really don't.
You gotta fight against the cold-blooded with the warm-blooded. It's like the mammal.
Right, so use humans who have weapons, missiles and shit. Why you gotta get the monkey involved? I don't even think he wants to be there.
The monkey, it was not working.
Anyway, today we're talking about Kong Skull Island because Godzilla vs. Kong is coming out and, relevance.
Woo.
Before we get into all that, please like and subscribe because if we get a following, we can start our own subreddit, and that sounds like fun for me.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy because we say crazy things.
Alrighty.
Yes. Colin.
Me.
Do you remember your first time watching this movie?
Okay, see, this is the problem with me, is that I don't really have much of a memory. I know
Right.
I've seen this movie before. I remember having seen it. Do I remember like the experience or how I really felt about it? I remember that I thought it was a good time. That's about as much as I can tell you. What I do remember though is from the first scene, wondering if it was the right movie.
That's fair.
Because the way that movie starts, I'm like, where's the monkey? Wait, oh, there he is.
yeah.
Okay.
I agree with you.
All right. I was going to ask Gabby. Sounds like same answer.
Huh?
You have the same answer as Colin?
No, I mean, I had never seen it before I watched it for this.
Oh.
So, but I do return Colin's sentiment worth the beginning of the movie. I was like, did we start the right movie? And then no, the monkey comes in and I was like, oh, okay, there he is. Okay, this is the right movie. Because it was like, it started off as a period piece and I was like, what? Like a World War II period piece. And I was like, excuse me, what's going on? And then all of a sudden there was a monkey. So, or not a monkey, an ape. I'm sorry, guys.
I was going to say, someone, if we got comments, then someone in the comments would be like, he's not a monkey, guys.
You know what, Jane Goodall, get out of here.
Actually, it wasn't Jane Goodall that went to look at the gorillas, but she went to look at the chimpanzees.
I don't. She's the
was
only
close
like
enough, Gabby. Give
primate
him the
scientist
reference.
I know of. All right.
Give him the reference. Anyway,
yeah.
Yes.
So my first time was watching like a week or two ago for the podcast, and
Nice.
I was like, wow, this takes place in the 70s. Oh, so it is a period piece the entire time.
It is.
But yeah, I was just like, wow, and I watched it, and yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I watched it 4 years ago when it came out, and I was like, wow, this movie's good. Kong really likes white girls. And we're going to get to that. Anyway, Kong Skull Island is directed by Jordan Vogt Roberts, and he's directed episodes of You're the Worst, which is a show that Gabby really likes. And he's
Yes.
directing the Metal Gear Solid movie, which stars a guy that Gabby really likes,
It does? Oh my god.
Oscar Isaac. Yes.
I do really like him.
Anyway,
His wife just got nominated for an Oscar. I'm so proud of her. I hope she wins. I want her to have like an Oscar and then Oscar.
that's funny. Who's his wife? I didn't even know he was married.
I think her name is Elvira Lind, and she is a documentary / like short film director. And so it's mostly short films, I think, actually. I don't know about the documentary bit. And so she got nominated for a short film, live action short film.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Oscars all around.
And Oscar stars in it. It's called The Letter Room.
Good to know. Moving on. This movie that we're talking about today is written by Dan Gilroy, who wrote Nightcrawler and then directed and wrote Velvet Buzzsaw.
I'm surprised Jake Gyllenhaal wasn't in this movie.
Right?
With that track record.
That man likes his Gyllenhaal. It was also written by Max Borenstein, who wrote Godzilla 2014, worked on the story for Godzilla King of the Monsters, and is writing Godzilla vs. Kong. So he has found his niche. And is also written by Derek Connolly, who wrote the Jurassic World movies, Pokemon Detective Pikachu, and Rise of Skywalker, apparently, because that movie has like 4 or 5 writers, and he's one of them.
Whoa.
Yeah, to me, don't look at me like that. Wikipedia says it. The movie stars Tom Hiddleston, Samuel L. Jackson, Brie Larson, John C. Reilly, Toby Kebbell, and like 40 other people. There's so many people in this cast, and I like all of them. IMDb summary. After the Vietnam War, a team of scientists explores an uncharted island in the Pacific, venturing into the domain of the mighty Kong, and must fight to escape a primal Eden. That's so poetic. I love it.
Right?
Yeah, it is.
Right?
Beautiful.
IMDb, like, it was
A
flowering out the
primal
language.
Eden.
Feels like a bit more
Ooh.
depth than this movie
What's
actually tries to
this?
portray, but that's fine.
I feel like yes and no. There's depth in like some of the things that Jordan, the director, did. We're on a first name basis.
Oh,
In case you didn't know.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't.
That's the homie. I'm just kidding. He doesn't know me.
There's so many people in this movie.
Right? What was I saying? The story.
Michael Keaton's in this movie?
What?
Michael Keaton not in this movie.
Oh, okay. I was lied to. Continue.
What are you looking at?
The Wikipedia page. Or not the Wikipedia page, just Google.
Okay. Now I'm confused. Michael Keaton. Yes, the story of this movie. It's interesting because, like Gabby said, it's a period piece, Vietnam. The setting and the characters give us like the war movie vibe, but instead of battling nameless people of color, we're battling monsters because this isn't a war movie. It's Kong. And yes, it does start with a white dude fighting a Japanese dude, but that narrative takes a subversive turn later, so you don't get that point. War propaganda, people. Yeah, what are your thoughts on the story? Gabby, you just watched it for the first time. What do you think?
I thought it was really good. I just love that John C. Reilly shows up like in the middle of the movie, and he's just he's so great. He's my favorite character. He just like comes out of nowhere, and I was like, oh my god, he's here, yes. And then he's just talks so much, and everyone around him's like, I half expected when they were leaving the island for all the islanders to go, yes, he's gone.
You're so silly.
That part I really liked. I liked that Kevin from Brooklyn Nine-Nine's in this movie.
I forgot he was in this movie.
Yeah, they just like this movie has a ton of people that I absolutely love, and they're in like super teeny tiny parts, but I just love it. For example, Shea Wingham, Thomas Mann, I think Jason Mitchell. Yeah, Jason Mitchell. I love him. Corey Hawkins. Like, there's so many great people in this. Yes, Dr. Dre and Eazy-E are in this movie.
Yeah, we have the MCU and NWA universes in this movie.
Yeah, it's so many people, and it's really great. I really liked it. Yeah, and then a couple of like super small actors, like Mark Evan Jackson, that's Kevin from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and then Eugene Cordero is like this actor that does super teeny tiny parts in a bunch of like movies and TV. He was in The Mandalorian. He was Jason's like best friend in The Good Place. So just like a bunch of like TV actors that just were in this movie. I really enjoyed that. So I really like the cast. And then I liked the story. I liked that they emphasized that Kong was a good guy.
Yeah. So it was interesting that sorry, I was thinking about the IMDb summary and how this one is like, kind of deep. What was the one? It was for Deadpool where they said that he just became like immortal but ugly. Yeah, I was like, yo, who's writing
these?
Because whoever wrote that one did not write this one.
No. But freaking anyway. What is it? Like a primordial Eden? Ooh.
Yeah. A primordial Eden.
What that means.
Beautiful.
Also, the monster design in this movie is like terrifying and great, but we'll get there.
We will get there. Back to the story. I do think there's a lot of interesting things to be said about the movie because Samuel Jackson's character, whom I hate, is like a very interesting look at like
toxic masculinity. I'm just kidding.
Yes, but also like taken to the point of like someone who can't let go of war and how he is so locked in. Like his soldiers are ready to go home at this point. When the movie starts, they're already about to be on their way home. And then he gets a mission. He's like, settle up, boys. Let's do it.
He didn't even consult them, right? They were like, check in with your soldiers, see if they're okay. And he's like, no, we're going.
He's like, no, we got it. And then just every single thing that happens there, he makes the worst possible decision because he's motivated by, this need for war. Like he can't let it go. And I was like, this movie is saying more than I expected it to say. I expected it to just say, hey, look, a gorilla. But it's saying way more than that. And I like that because we get not just from him, but like the other soldiers, because it does feel like a war movie. They get all of the iconography, like the helicopters.
And like even the war photographer.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that Shea Wiggum character, Cole, when he tells the story about the farmer who joined the NVA but like had never seen a gun before Americans showed up. And he says sometimes an enemy doesn't exist until you go looking for one. And I was like, yo, this movie got some lines in it. I was not I wasn't here for, like, I like it. I definitely dig it. But I was just here for gorilla punching things.
And we got like a war movie without a war.
Also, Gabby, she is an anti-war photographer, madam. Thank you.
That's true. She does say that.
Oh, I'm so sorry. She's an anti-war photographer. I apologize. But what I mean is, like, we've all seen those kinds of photos.
Yeah. My favorite way to describe this movie, because somebody asked me what it's even about because they had never seen it before. And I went, Captain Marvel and Loki befriend King Kong while Nick Fury tries to kill him.
That is a way to put it, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
Yep.
some of NWA is there. But yeah, this movie has 86,000 characters, so let's talk about them.
Who do we even start with?
Samuel Jackson's character is the worst. And John Goodman's character is also the worst. Man, they're so...
And everyone else is just trying to do their best.
Right. And I'm just going to say, like, across the board, great cast, great performances, great acting. So I don't feel the need to single out anybody and then forget a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Because everyone was great. John C. Reilly was the best, but we'll get to him. Yeah, it's just Samuel Jackson and John Goodman's characters are both putting other people's lives in danger for their own goals, but in different ways.
Yeah.
And it's just like this competition of who can be worse.
Yep.
I hate them. Colin.
Me.
Any thoughts on the characters? Any of them? Pick one of the 86 characters and talk about them.
That's my problem. There are too many.
There's so many, right?
Well, see, the thing is, like, to me, the thing about this movie in general and its characters is that none of them really make an impact on me. Like, I don't care about any of them because this movie is just like, let's watch people run through a jungle and fight some things. And it's like, this movie is a ton of fun, but for me, like, nobody really has any depth in it. They are who they are, and that's about it. That's fine. Like, this movie, like, to me, this movie is like the perfect, like, monster action movie. You don't need to get it doesn't need to be any deeper than that. Look at the pretty colors, like the smoke. Why is the toxic smoke this violent green? Cuz it's cool. Why is the bird's blood blue? Cuz it's cool. Like, everything about this movie and its characters is like, they're cool. Look how cool they are. Do they have any depth to them? Not really, but who cares? But it works. It really works.
It really works. That's interesting. I don't feel that way about this one. That's how I feel about King of the Monsters, which we'll get to later.
Yeah. But I don't feel about this one. I feel like everybody like, I was getting upset when some soldiers started dying. Like, I had my favorite soldiers and I was like, if anything happens to that dude, I'm out. Like,
I didn't
and luckily
even know
nothing
that
happened to them. Oh, I knew their names.
Chapman.
I knew Chapman, Slivko. Nothing could happen to Slivko. Nothing could happen to Relis, like Mills. Like, the only one I was like okay with dying was what's his name, Cole, because Cole was like done with life. Cole, I was like, if he dies, it's okay. He doesn't want to be here.
No.
And then Cole turned around and died.
Oh my god.
So I gotta say, Colin, I agree with you. There are far too many characters in this movie. I got halfway through the movie and me and my 12-year-old brother both looked at each other and went, I don't know the names of anybody in this movie.
There are so many.
I will say,
there
though,
are a lot.
That's why it was good that they cast notable actors, because I don't know Brie Larson's character name, but I know Brie Larson. So I can be like, hey, Brie Larson, you did the thing. Like,
her name is Mason Weaver, sir.
Yeah.
I feel like there are a couple of characters. Yeah, once you get to like 48 characters, it's like there are a couple of them where I was like, yeah, I don't see a lot of depth from Dr. Dre or that Asian girl he was hanging out with.
Oh, I forgot about her. Oh
I
God,
forgot she was in that movie entirely.
I forgot
she
existed until I was from the movie. I was like, oh yeah, there was another person.
She was there. Yeah, the whole time.
The whole time. She makes it to the after credits
she
scene
lived.
too.
Oh my God.
But the soldiers, I felt like I did care for them. Like I said earlier, I felt like I was watching a war movie, in that you have the leader of the team who is the bad guy, who's like, war, let's kill something. Then you have the guys.
Which was a little bit what's happening during Vietnam.
Oh yeah, this is a very like, hey, look, Vietnam. Like one of the things that John C. Reilly's character says, what happened with the war? Did we win? And then Slivko says, which one? And he's like, yeah, that makes sense. But
which one?
The dynamic between Cole and Mills, I love, because Cole is just pretty chill and calm about most things. Like after the Kong attack, he's just eating his food, and he was like, yeah, that was an unconventional encounter. But when that scary ass spider grabs Mills, he's at 110%. He's like, cut the legs out. I got you. And he's like shooting. He's like, he's down for his boy.
He's the guy that you want in the hole with you.
Yeah. And he had one of the worst and most stupid movie deaths I've ever seen.
Oh
in my
yeah,
life.
that was dumb. But I'm so glad that he was going to sacrifice himself, and then they just took it from him, and I was mad. I was
It's
like,
like,
how dare you?
Just throw the grenades. Okay, I know we're gonna go over our character section, but I just have to talk about how great John C. Reilly was because he is the best part of this movie.
Yes, 100%.
He's so like, I already like the movie. He comes in like 45 minutes in, and it gets so much better because he's there.
Yep.
His lines are great. He adds some comedy, but also some depth because he has his family he wants to get back to.
Mhm.
And like when he's talking about the skull crawlers, it's like the Eewees won't speak their name. I call them skull crawlers. And Loki's like, why? Because it sounds neat. Look, I just made that name up. It sounds stupid now that I say it out loud. He had so many lines like that. He was so good.
He was so great. Have you heard that John C. Reilly is like the most critically acclaimed American actor? Just
What?
because of like when you look, he has like I think on Metacritic, he has like the highest Metacritic score, like higher than any other
That's hilarious.
English speaking actor because of how critically acclaimed all of his movies are.
That's so weird.
Yeah,
so
like
great.
John C. Reilly, really that one, and then you look back and you're like, oh yeah, this dude doesn't miss. Like I think
Yeah.
like the only bad movie of his that I've ever seen is like Watson and Holmes
Right.
and Watson.
But yeah,
Anyway,
he was great. He was super great. Like the whole time he's trying to tell them like, hey man, don't go that way. Bad things are that way. And Samuel Jackson's dumbass is like, we're gonna go that way.
all right.
He's like,
die
says,
then.
I've only been here 28 years. What do I know? But yes, he made the movie so much better, and I loved him.
He also like, I felt like the characters were safer with him because he had been there for that long.
Yeah.
And he spoke English.
Yeah. And he
I
knew
was
his way
oh, thank
around.
God. I was like, they're safe now. But also, I had been wondering at the beginning, I was like, did those two survive? And then I love that you find out that they did.
Yeah.
They were still there.
It was great. He's so good. I could do a whole episode on just his character in this movie because I like him so much. But moving on to the visuals and the sounds and all those crazy colors. So I think Jordan, the homie, he did some really cool things with the shots of Kong. One of the things I do like about the 2014 Godzilla, which like it's not my favorite Godzilla movie, but one thing I think they did really well is show the scale of Godzilla because they show it from the human's perspective. And this movie does that super well. With Kong, like the first time we see him, he's coming up on that ridge and they're just tiny and he is not. And then we see when Toby Kebbell's looking at him and he's fighting that tentacle monster. That was weird. And then every scene that we get to see Kong from the perspective of the people is just like, yo. Also, Jordan, the director, was like, he was making like some posters with this movie. Some of these shots are so beautiful.
Like the one with Kong
standing
like,
in front of
in
the sunset.
sun, just like
right. The one where he's coming out of the fog when Loki and Captain Marvel like at that ridge at night and he's just walking out, you just see his eyes. It's like, yo, this is such a beautiful movie.
Yep.
Randomly seeing Loki fighting monsters with a sword and like green smoke is everywhere. Like this is I think at that point when I was watching in the theater, I was like, I don't know what we're doing, but I love it.
I feel like they were like, monster movies are always so dark. Why do they have to be dark? Why can't I see what's going on? And then so they were like, let's make it beautiful. It
I
seems
also
like
think
the conclusion was.
That helps with like the setting, right? Because they're on an island, so they're not in a city. You don't have to like evacuate people. Think about like infrastructure and shit like that. So you can make whatever monsters you want and do whatever you want because you don't have to worry about like, but how are people gonna react to like their city being destroyed and we have to show all the rubble and the evacuees and like, nah, we don't have to do any of that.
Yep.
We can do whatever we want.
Whatever we want.
In this Primal Eden, was it?
Primordial.
Yeah. Either way it works. But yeah, it was great. Some beautiful shots, colors, swords, pterodactyls. I am disappointed that we didn't get to see the giant ants.
Ants?
Yeah, John C. Reilly when he's with Dr. Dre. I'm sorry, I'm calling him Dr. Dre. I don't know his character's name because he didn't have any deaths. He's like, keep an eye on the trees. And he's like, why? He said, ants. He said, they're really big ants. And there's like a bird noise. And he said, there's one that sounds like a bird, but it's an ant. And I was like, yo, are we going to see these ants? But we didn't see the ants.
We didn't.
Yeah,
that would have been cool.
We were supposed to, but they like didn't have the money for it.
Probably, yeah. I guess like a Chekhov's gun situation. Like, don't tell me about these ants if I'm not going to see the ants. But whatever.
Chekhov's gun?
Yeah. It's
it works out, though.
If you show a gun in the first act, you have to use it by the next act or the third act, something like that. Basically, you can't just introduce something and then not use it.
It's if a gun shows up in the first act, you have to use it in the third act.
Okay, yeah, that.
Basically, don't mention something and then just not come back to it.
Yeah.
Got it.
But that was
works
worth
out
it
though,
because that line was
then
great.
your sister-in-law can watch this movie.
Oh, yes, because she's afraid of ants.
Yeah. I imagine giant ants would be even worse.
Speaking of giant bugs, that spider scene,
Oh yeah, that was
my
horrifying.
God.
whew, it was interesting though because I didn't mind it as much as the bug scene from the Peter Jackson King Kong when they're in that like canyon or whatever and they get overrun by all those horrifying bugs. That was too much. But like one giant one, I'm like, oh, okay.
I feel like
It sucks, but
what was also sad about the spider scene was like you could tell that spider was just walking.
yeah, it
like
was so
it wasn't
weird.
being menacing. It was just like la 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 la. Oh no, I'm dying now. I'm
getting
being
shot.
attacked. Like it wasn't the spider's fault that you guys weren't paying attention.
Yeah.
So I felt a little bit bad for the spider, even though it was horrifying. I was like,
Yes.
"Ugh." And I was very stressed out by that scene, mostly because I was like, if Sliveko dies or if whoever dies, I'm done.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It was an interesting one. But also the way they shot that, like the beginning of that scene. Because it's just in this like bamboo or whatever it is, trees. I don't know. I'm not a botanist.
It was bamboo, I think.
Sweet. And then yeah, that guy looks up and then you just see one and I'm like, what is that? And you look up, oh, it's a horrifying spider.
Oh, I was so afraid for them that whole time. Because I was like, there's too many people here and we're going to watch a lot of them die.
Yeah.
And a surprising amount didn't. I was like, wow.
Yeah, right? Of like, if you're going to bring in 92 characters, you can kill at least 46 of them. But they didn't.
Yeah, there was a beautiful movie, beautifully shot. And I like that we got to actually see the monsters. It wasn't like they tried to hide them with darkness so that they didn't have to do as much detail. It was like, here's all the detail. We're in full sunlight. But also, I feel like it's scarier when you're fighting a monster in the light for some reason. Because you're just going to see a lot more.
Just like, oh, look at all that. That is terrifying.
Yep.
But yeah, they did an interesting character design. I mean, not monster designs. Like the skull crawlers themselves. It's interesting that they just have the 2 legs. Because if they had all 4, it'd be like, oh, that's just a lizard. But there's something like uncanny and off about them because they just walk on these 2 legs and they use their tails to just like yeet people like throw Kong. I was like, yo, these dudes can scrap. But sound, I do want to mention this. I've seen Remember the Titans about 100 times. So I have this like Pavlovian response to be happy when I hear like the typical 70s movie soundtrack. Like any movie that takes place in Vietnam is going to have a lot of overlap of like soundtracks with Remember the Titans because it takes place in 71. So all those songs that were playing, I was like, Remember the Titans. Denzel Washington. Guarantees. Colin.
Me.
What's your favorite thing about the movie?
Probably just like how much fun it is and how much fun you can tell that they had in making it, like with all the color and shit. It's just like this movie is wild. And it's like it's just a fun time. And it's like it's ridiculous, but that's fine because that's what it wants to be. Like, why did Loki need a sword? Like, need to get thrown a sword and then chop some people up and then chop some monsters up and then like stick it in the ground. And we had an angle when we saw the sword being stuck in the ground, so it was a cooler shot. It's like you went to like extremes with this, and I love it.
It was beautiful. And also, that scene was weird because Marlo was using the sword.
Yeah.
And Loki's just like, Marlo, sword. And he tosses it to him.
Yeah, I thought about that too.
And like Kayla was walking in, she was like, no, I'm using like, I'll be like, nigga, get your own sword. I'm fighting for my life right now. I'm not going to give you my weapon so I can get eaten by pterodactyls. And then Loki, whose name is Conrad in the movie, I guess we should actually say it. And then he's just inexplicably really good with this sword.
Well, you know,
Right?
he's a tracker. Obviously, you use swords when you track things.
I have a question. Was it? I couldn't remember if it was a sword or a machete. Was it a sword?
It's a sword.
I think it was
Okay.
I think it was supposed to be a katana because that's what the Japanese guy had.
Yeah, it's the sword that he got
yeah.
from Gunpei, which
Okay,
also is
cool.
like, Harlow's had this sword for like 28 years. Why is Conrad better with the sword?
Because we don't know how long ago Gunpei died, so it was probably just like he had it until Gunpei died. Like Gunpei had it,
And then he died.
and then he died. But like, so then who's gonna teach him how to use the sword? It's just a dude swinging something around, as opposed to a dude that was like in the British Navy with the sword.
All right, why not? I don't know. It looked cool. Gabby, what's your favorite thing about the movie? Is it John C. Reilly?
Yes, John C. Reilly is probably my favorite part of the movie. That and like I like that there was a hint of romance in it, but they didn't just like fall in love, you know, like Loki and Brie Larson's characters, because it often bothers me when that happens when they're on like a mission and all of a sudden these two people are now in love. Like I liked that it was like a regularly paced ish like hint of a romance. They weren't like I'll sacrifice myself for you. By the end, it was just like, we're part of a team. I think you're cute, but I'm going to stay over here for a minute. I did like that aspect of it too. Cause yeah, that was my favorite bit.
And mine was John C. Reilly because he's just so amazing. His character was great. All he wanted was to get back to his family. So yes, John C. Reilly is fantastic. Gabby,
Yes.
what are you expecting from the next installment of the Kong Godzilla movies?
I'm expecting to see Kong fight Godzilla.
Yes.
I'm kidding. I'm hoping they band together in the end because remember, they are both the good guys. So I'm hoping that they start fighting and they were like, why are we fighting each other? Let's fight this other stupid monster. And then there's going to be people in the movie.
Yes. To piggyback on that, yeah, that's what I think is gonna happen. I think they're gonna squab for a bit, and then King Ghidorah is gonna come back. Like, what's up, niggas? And he's gonna have a metal head this time, and then they're gonna have to jump him because King Ghidorah is that dude.
He's gonna catch those monkey hands and those dinosaur nuclear blasts.
Yes, while shooting lightning out of his face because he's dope. But yeah, I think that's what's gonna happen. They're gonna punch for a bit, then they're gonna be friends because they're gonna have to punch somebody else for a bit. Colin, what do you think's gonna happen?
Probably the same. I would like it not to be the case. If you build this as, basically you're marketing this as a boxing match. I want it to just be the two of them going at it, and that's all it is. And I know that's not what it's going to be because there have been like marketing and spoiler things that have been like, hey, yeah, this is surprise, this is happening. But it's like, I don't want that. I want them to just slug it out for an hour and a half to 2 hours, and that's all I really want. But I don't think that's what I'm going to get.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if they just fight each other.
So funny enough, while you guys have been recording this podcast, the social media embargo has lifted on reactions to Godzilla vs. Kong. So people are already starting to react to the movie itself.
Yeah, I saw one reaction.
Yeah, so far they're saying it is the best movie of the MonsterVerse.
Really, the one reaction I saw said it sucked, but hey.
Better than Kong Skull Island?
I was looking at the looking at the entire hashtag, and most of them are pretty good reviews about this particular one. However, they're saying that the human characters are as expected in every other film. They're not anything to write home about.
Why do they even put them in these movies?
Yeah.
The movie itself is a grand spectacle of Godzilla and Kong fighting each other. Also, the director has already said one of them is going to definitively win the fight. So even if they do end up fighting something else together, one of them is going to win. So who do you guys think is going to win?
Ooh.
Or more whose side are you on?
I don't want anyone.
Listen, real talk. Here's what you got, right? You got Godzilla and you have a monkey. No. Don't even say shit about Kong. He going down. He ain't got nothing. He got hands. That's all he got. Literally just the hands. And Godzilla, he can grab shit around him. Hands. But that's it. Godzilla can be like, nah, I'm going to vomit nuclear shit down your throat like I did to the Mutos. No, it's not. Because
Mutos
also,
are big moths,
the fact that King of the Monsters exists, that movie, I mean.
Yeah.
Like, they shouldn't have made that movie before they made this one. That should have come after.
Troublesome. Yeah, it's like you had Godzilla.
It's a bit, now, this feels like almost a downgrade. Like, bro, he's been squabbing for years. He has experience. He knows what's up. Nah, get out of here, Kong.
I think he also did have more help, though, in King of the Monsters.
This is true, yes.
He had Mothra.
Yeah, he had Mothra.
He had the white people he was hanging out with.
I mean,
yeah,
he's got the white people he was hanging out with in this movie, too.
In what, Kong?
In Godzilla vs. Kong. He's still got those same white people. And then Kong got his own group of white people in Asa Gonzalez. So
also, Kong has a child or something? Not like his child. Like, there is a child. or something.
Yeah, there's some kid. I don't know. We'll see. One thing that I did like about the movie that we were talking about, Kong Skull Island, is the way Kong fights is very smart. He's creative. He uses weapons. He like puts a boat rotor, whatever, on a chain and just like, he's like, yo, this nigga got a hand. He starts choking him out like it's a street fight.
That's a joke that Eric was making. He was like, sure, Godzilla has a nuclear reactor coming out of his, mouth, but Godzilla has opposable thumbs.
Yeah, Kong can do things. Like he fights like he's in prison. And yeah,
So that's how it's going to end.
He's like, we have to be creative here.
Comes in with a shank.
he's just gonna stab.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Whatever. I think Kong's just gonna pull out a gun and shoot him in the face.
Brah, brah, brah.
Blah, blah. Blah, gah, 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 gah. Anyway,
Gah, 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 gah.
we are getting off topic.
Not really. To me, ask the question.
That's true. It's not off topic. It's just off the rails.
I
within
don't
the
want
topic.
either of them to lose, though. I want them to be friends and fight whatever unseen mecha monster comes out.
Yeah.
This is just blind predictions based on other Godzilla movies.
Oh, yeah.
But that's just what I would rather have. Is I want them to be friends. I want them to just and now kiss.
It's a different type of movie.
Not
Just wanna
shipping
make-
them, just like friendship.
That
a friendly kiss, a platonic kiss between friends.
Yeah, you know.
Friendship.
Okay, that's the thing. I just want them to jump King Ghidorah and stomp him out like the dudes in Office Space stomping out that printer in the field.
Yes. Yes.
Well, early reactions are saying that this is going to be a badass flick, so we will see in about a week.
Yeah.
Yay.
Nice. Final thoughts, guys, on Kong Skull Island?
It was a good time, and it's really beautiful and well shot. So if you want to watch a giant gorilla punch some lizards, I recommend this one.
Yeah.
That means it's not like he knows what's coming and he's practicing.
I mean,
Maybe he
might.
does.
Practice makes perfect. Colin, any final thoughts?
This movie's just fun.
Yeah.
It's just a good time. You don't have to think too hard about it. It's got some lines in there, but I don't think this movie is really trying to make that much of a point about war. And it's just not just watch people fight things, and there's some pretty colors. It's great.
Yeah. I'm going to expand on all of that. The movie is very fun. I feel like if you want to just enjoy some violence and some colors, boom, we got you. If you want to talk about the commentaries of war and how, never mind, I'm not going to say that. I can say how messing with a white woman can get you killed. But not this one. Not this time. That's old Kong.
mm-hmm.
Our Kong is past that.
He's like,
But
I'm
yeah.
going to stay on my island. Thank you.
Exactly. Y'all can take her with you. Y'all can do what y'all do over there. Stay out of my house. Also, I love the Kong. Like, Kong just has that energy of who's in my house making all this noise because they show up with the bombs and he's just like, what are y'all doing? Smacking helicopters at the ground. Like, run around my house. Anyway, thanks, audience, for listening to all of that. As always, thank you, Crown Digital, Brandon, and Aya for putting us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Demi, thank you for editing and putting us on the YouTube. Gabby, thank you for vibing with me on how great John C. Reilly is. He's so
friendship.
great. Colin, thank you for not cussing in the first 30 seconds of this episode.
I'm sorry.
You got it. This was not the episode that was going to be a problem, so.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just thanking you for that because I know how you can be. Anyway, audience, what do you think of Kong Skull Island? Are you excited for Kong and Godzilla to scrap? Let us know on the medias. Twitter, y'all_different. Instagram and Tumblr, Creative Differences Podcast, or Facebook.com/Creative Differences PC. If you want to place bets on who wins the Godzilla versus Kong fight, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at a king named Simba.
You can find me, Gabby, on the Instagrams at Stegosaurus.
You can find me on Twitter at Duck McGuck.
And you can't find Demi. She's off, I don't know, on an island with Kong. And the pretty colors and the swords. I don't know. All right. It's been different. Bye.
Bye.